Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, Melderon here. Well, we returned from BlizzCon 2019, and all in all, we had an amazing time. This was our first BlizzCon, and also we're fortunate enough to get media access to the event. So, safe to say, there were a lot of firsts for us. Defcamp, myself, and the ClassicWow.live team covered a ton of ground and met some amazing people. A definite highlight of the journey was to meet up with and spend time with Omar Gonzalez, Senior Engineer on World of Warcraft Classic. What a smart, down-to-earth guy. Thank you for all you and your team does, Omar. The Classic WoW community is grateful. In addition to Omar, we got to spend time with Josh from Countdown to Classic, fellow Invictus Guild members from the Scarum server, and fans from all over the world. Now let's get into the meat and potatoes. You are here for a World of Warcraft update, so let's begin. We will start with Classic WoW, as that is what we cover here on Defcamp Melderon TV. Albeit not surprising, it was awesome to hear the announcement of the launch of Phase 2 on November 12th, which will include the Honor System and world bosses Azure Ghost and Lord Kazakh. Not much more was said, but I do want to note that Ian Hazakostas said that millions, and that's plural, of people have been adventuring in Classic WoW and enjoying the game. This, as a fan and advocate of Classic WoW, was great to hear. I got the vibe, after talking with people from many different sides of the Classic WoW community, that the success of Classic WoW is larger than Blizzard was expecting. This is good for many reasons, but what I think is most telling here is that if Classic is a financial success, it increases the chances of post-vanilla content being created by Blizzard, whether that be Classic Plus, the Burning Crusade, Fresh Realms, or a combination of two or more of these things. Here is how Blizzard answered a fan's question about post-Classic content when asked during the World of Warcraft Q&A.
Hey guys, so obviously my question is about Classic, naturally. With the release of Classic, I'm having a great time, my friends are having a great time, but I know some people maybe might want to see the possibility of either a Burning Crusade or Wrath of the Lich King server. Is that something that the team is taking into consideration for the future?
Okay, show of hands, how many people would like a Burning Crusade? Wait a minute, hold on. I'll get right back to you. How about Lich King? That's interesting. You want us to just skip the Lich King? Yes! Anyway, obviously we can do this. We've done it before. But we got to be really careful about how we proceed. You know, we established Classic with no changes in mind. However, the reception from all of you has been so incredible, and I mean, literally blew us away. We had no idea. We knew it was going to be big. We had no idea it was going to be this big. And we would be super thoughtful in the way that we progressed. We know that some people probably didn't sign up to go on to Burning Crusade, or maybe not on the Lich King. So we want to handle that the right way. But we can do this. We're not opposed to doing it. We just want to do the right thing.
Perfect. Thanks, guys.
It would seem to me that this is going to be a no-brainer for Blizzard, concerning it is likely the cheapest option while having the most potential for reward. Classic Plus is definitely an intriguing idea, but I don't think that Blizzard will want to put developmental energy toward a project that may ultimately not be successful. TBC is a definite win. In fact, I'm willing to say now, just under a year away from the next BlizzCon, that I think Blizzard will announce the release of Burning Crusade servers during BlizzCon 2020, which means they will likely be available near the end of 2021. I think it's safe to say that by then, we will all be prepared. That was all for Classic news at BlizzCon. I think it would have been nice to have an official panel for Classic WoW at BlizzCon 2019, but I also understand there were many more announcements that took center stage. However, Defcamp, myself, Ale, Josh from Countdown to Classic, Platinum WoW, and Athelas from Warcraft Radio were fortunate enough to be asked to be on a Classic WoW panel to discuss the state of the game at Con before the storm. A link to the audio from the panel will be available in the description below as soon as it goes live. If it isn't, just check back at a later date. Let's move on to retail news. As you likely already know, the Blizz team announced a totally new expansion to World of Warcraft, the Shadowlands. In this expansion, the heroes of Azeroth will venture into the Shadowlands, which serve as the afterlife for all beings within the Warcraft universe to battle a new big bad who is yet to be identified, but is referred to only as the Jailer. We gain access to this realm because Sylvanas decides to head up north to the Frozen Throne, kick Bolvar Four Dragon's ass, and steal his helm. If you're watching the cinematic live, you were probably thinking that she was going to put the Helm of Domination on and become the Lich Queen, but oh no, things weren't that predictable. Instead, Sylvanas decides to destroy the Helm of Domination. rather easily I may add, breaking whatever bonds hold the fibers of reality intact. This act not only severs the Lich King's control over his undead minions, but it also destroys the boundary that exists between the mortal plane and the afterlife, the Shadowlands. The cinematic was wonderfully done, as are all Blizzard cinematics. Afterwards, we were treated to a host of features and updates that will go live with the Shadowlands release, which will likely be later in 2020. Of them, the 3 that stood out to a classic WoW fan like myself were the 1 to 60 level squish, changes that increase the importance of the leveling process, and the return of signature class abilities like Shaman Totems, Paladin Auras, and iconic class abilities like Frost Shock and Consecration. From a design perspective, the team touted that they want to focus on class identity and bringing a certain class to a raid or battleground, not just a certain spec. This means that many abilities will be core to the class itself and shared across specs. This is refreshing news to say the least. Back to the level squish. 1 to 60 is of course iconic from a vanilla perspective, but it also comes with a total revamp of the leveling experience, allowing players to choose their own adventure, if you will, after completing each starting zone, which will go from 1 to 10. Then, at level 10, the player will be able to choose which expansion or story they want to experience from 10 to 50, and then level in the Shadowlands from 50 to the level cap, which is 60. To me, this makes a ton of sense. It lets each expansion shine while also demystifying the leveling process to a new player. It may also lead to players wanting to level alts more to experience parts of the game they may never have and have a totally fresh leveling experience. And speaking of alts, the team said there will be an overall reduction in grindy content like Azerite, allowing this expansion to be more alt-friendly. At the center of the Shadowlands will be the Covenant system and the Anima resource. Think of covenants like the Aldor and the Scryers from the Burning Crusade. Allegiance to a covenant will allow players to gain new abilities through the Soulbind system and gear that are exclusive to that covenant. There are a total of 4 covenants in the expansion, each tailoring to specific roles that a player can take in the game. Now on to Anima. Anima, according to the development team, is a precious resource in the Shadowlands that is diminishing in prevalence over time in all places except the Maw, which is the endgame area. It will drop in Torghast, the Tower of the Damned. Now this is interesting. This is a dungeon that is scalable from 1 to 5 players and changes each time you zone in. Similar to old school Diablo zones, the tower is randomly generated each time. This to me could be a lot of fun. Despite the leveling overhaul, the team expects leveling overall to take 40 to 50% less time compared to BFA, really reducing the time investment to get to endgame, a starkly different experience compared to Classic. This may appeal to you or it may not. However, the team also said that they wanted each level to feel significant, and that either new talents or new abilities will unlock each level on your way to 60. Seems familiar, doesn't it? To me, changes like the leveling squish, leveling relevance, and the return of signature class abilities harken to the golden era of World of Warcraft, or the Classic era. During a media press conference for Shadowlands, I asked if Classic WoW served as an inspiration for these changes. Frank Kolakowski, technical director on the World of Warcraft team, answered with this.
As far as the overall design philosophies of Shadowlands, it looks like with the level squish, with class identity, some of the core elements of leveling up each level, a new spell is available, X, Y, and Z. It feels like it could possibly come from a more classic philosophy. Did you look into Classic as a source of inspiration for some of the mechanics in Shadowlands, and are you going to perhaps do that in the future?
That's a good question. A lot of those decisions we actually made long before Classic actually launched. Like nice. The level squish is something we've talked about for a long time, and the primary motivation behind that was, as a new player, you look at your friends and they have that number 120 in front of them the day you log in. That's very intimidating.
Sure.
If I want to go get my heritage armor, even though you only need to go 1 to 110, that's still very intimidating as maybe a void elf or something like that. There's a lot of levels in the game just have added up over the years. And one of the things we want to do is make sure that those levels matter as well. So when you're going from 10 to 50, for instance, you'll be picking up talents, you'll be picking up spells, you'll be unlocking content, and the other aspect of the level squish we really wanted to address in the leveling in general was that sense that I'm kind of just a tourist through the world as I'm leveling up, and it feels cool if we've already been through all of those expansions and we grew organically over the last 15 years to kind of get that beat of going back to each expansion saying, yeah, I remember Wrath, I remember Mists, but you never really get to go very far before you move on to the next one. So the other thing we wanted to do was make sure that players had an opportunity to play all the way through an expansion. So you can, if you really like Wrath of the Lich King, you're going to finally get to see Icecrown before you out-level the content, and that was important to us as well because there's usually a level of story associated with each expansion, and we want players to be able to see that.
This to me is a perplexing response. Yes, these changes may have been discussed before the release of Classic WoW, but my question wasn't did the success of Classic lead to these changes. All I did ask was if Classic was an inspiration. Maybe I should have said vanilla, but in my opinion it is clear to me that, at least in these aspects, the Shadowlands development team are looking for factors that were popular during the Classic era and perhaps core to the overall Classic philosophy. I also asked a question concerning the emergent lore from the Shadowlands cinematic. When Sylvanas destroyed the Helm of Domination, the skies opened up to reveal the Shadowlands, bridging the gap between life and death. My issue here is with the Helm itself. According to Gamepedia and WoWWiki, the Helm of Domination was created by the Nethrezim, both to hold the spirit of Ner'zhul and grant him his power over the undead minions. The Helm was bonded to Ner'zhul's spirit and locked within the Frozen Throne. So, before the Helm of Dominance was created, how was the boundary between life and death preserved on Azeroth and beyond? In response to this question, Frank Holkowski replied with,
Are lore questions fair game?
We can try.
Okay. Just a quick question. I'm not a lore buff by any stretch of the imagination, but the Helm of Domination, before that existed, how did the Shadowlands and Mortal Realm balance work? Because it didn't exist forever, right? I think the Ner'zhul created it, or killed Jade.
Yeah, we're going to explore that actually, as we go through Shadowlands. You're going to meet, some mysterious people that are very good at crafting things like legendaries that may have had a hand in, may be able to help explain a lot of of how that came into being.
Oh well, it looks like we're going to have to wait until the game comes out for this one. However, if you have an idea to explain this, please let me know in the comments section below. As far as gameplay, I personally did not get a chance to try out Shadowlands demo. However, Defcamp did. Let's let him summarize his experiences.
Hey guys, Defcamp here. At Blizzcon, I got a chance to check out the demo for Shadowlands. I made a level 50 character, a Death Knight, and jumped into a new zone called Bastion. Immediately, one of the first things I noticed is that I did not have that many abilities, and the gameplay did seem a little stale in my point of view. It seemed honestly very similar to what this gameplay is now. I don't know what direction they're planning on going to with the gameplay. I'm sure there will be more abilities available later on, but during the demo, I got the sense that things felt very similar to what I was used to in Legion and the little that I played in BFA. Overall, the impression that I got was that things feel recycled and very much the same from what I'm used to in BFA and Legion. Now, like I said, there are a lot of new and cool, exciting looking things coming to Shadowlands. However, I was not able to experience them very much in the demo. So hopefully some things will change down the line, and the demo is just probably a glimpse into what we can expect in our new adventure in the Shadowlands.
All in all, I have to say that I'm at least intrigued by the Shadowlands. I think a lot of the changes they are making are definitely in the right direction. Will they be enough for a classic WoW guy like me to play it religiously? I heavily doubt it. But I do want to personally commend the Shadowlands dev team for at least bringing back some core RPG elements from the classic era of World of Warcraft, whether they admit it or not. I think there is a lot to look forward to in the future regarding the World of Warcraft IP. We have the honor system and world bosses right around the corner, which will really step up the amount of emergent gameplay that will transpire on classic servers. And for retail, a new expansion is in the works that will totally revamp the leveling experience and bring a lot of core RPG elements back to World of Warcraft. To me, this is a win-win, because let's face it, if you are paying a subscription, you are getting access to both of these games, why not try out both of them? Well, that's it for this update. Be sure to stay tuned for my Diablo 4 update, which should be out in a day or two, as well as new DefTalks and discussions that are right around the corner. Make sure to hit the subscribe, hit the bell, and tell me your blood type to stay up to date on all the Defcamp Melderon TV content. Also, don't forget to check out ClassicWoW.live, where Taladrill has been hard at work creating blog posts and photo albums from Blizzcon 2019, as well as our new interactive leveling and dungeon guides. Keep on keybinding and grinding, everyone, and stay tuned for more BlizzCon 2019 coverage from Defcamp and Melderon TV. Peace.